Hello and welcome back to the Loyal Sun Show. That's at the Loyal Suns on all of your social medias. Follow us here and follow us there for Pitt sports content you will not want to miss. If you love NIL-focused athletic directors and hate when all the teams that you'd like to lose on your bye week win their football games, this is the place for you. The Loyal Sun Show, a safe, sunshiny place for your Pitt Athletics fix. Today is October the 21st, Monday. It is 5:10 p.m. as we record this. And that's important to mention because of a very important press conference that will be taking place tomorrow, the 22nd of October, also 2024. And that is the introductory press conference for our new athletic director.
Yeah, it happened per usual. As soon as we record a podcast and put it out, the next day something important happens and we're like, oh man, we just missed out.
Yeah, I'd like to make a quick correction there. I think the press conference is actually on Wednesday at 10 a.m. at the Pete. So
true. But if you're listening to this, it's tomorrow, and Wednesday is tomorrow's tomorrow. And today is Wednesday.
Okay.
Today is Wednesday, but Wednesday is the Wednesday of today.
Gotcha. Whenever you're listening
Does that
to
make
this,
sense?
Yeah, whatever. Whenever you listen to this, press conference is on Wednesday. Finally get to hear from Allen Greene. Yeah. Once again, the AD hire kind of was flying under the radar. Feel like everyone had a bunch of ideas for names that they thought made sense. Obviously, none of the names that were mentioned because they were not realistic candidates for an athletic director job ended up getting hired.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that Louis Riddick wouldn't want to give up his very comfortable, high-paying job for a way more difficult, lower-paying job?
Dave Wannstedt was the next candidate, I swear. Word of the street was he just missed out.
Yeah, a bunch of people who had no background working in athletic administrations. Anyway, never heard of Allen Greene before the hire happened, but I now have decided that it's an amazing hire and that they nailed it.
Well, Squid and I have been lifelong greenheads.
Yes.
We've always been on this train.
Since his Buffalo days, actually.
Yeah, since his Buffalo days. It's when he was under our radar. His Buffalo days back in the early teens, 90s. Yeah, ever since then, we've been very high on him. And he, for all intents and purposes, is the perfect hire, unless he isn't.
Yeah, everything since he's been announced, the focus and the message clearly is like, we've hired this guy because he has experience with NIL fundraising. He's done it he's coming from Tennessee. He was at Ole Miss for a little bit before that as a senior deputy AD. He spent some time as the athletic director at Auburn. So he's been around the block in the SEC, schools that know what they're doing when it comes to fundraising money, paying their players. So from the beginning, we knew that was going to be a focus for the administration to find someone who had experience in the NIL space, and it looks like they got a good one, unless they didn't. But only time can tell.
Only red flag I see is he with the Notre Dame.
Yes. I also noted that as my only negative.
But being at Ole Miss, Auburn, and Tennessee as his last three stops is probably what you want. There's places that find ways to funnel in exorbitant amounts of money to do football things.
And some basketball things. Those are some pretty decent basketball schools.
Auburn made a Final Four while he was there.
Tennessee is typically very competitive. I don't think they've made a ton of runs, but they've fielded a strong program the past few years, stronger than many would expect. there are a few things from his history at these other schools that I think Pitt fans could point to and be like, huh, that's a data point, good or bad. So I'm thinking of two very specific ones. So for starters, while he was at Auburn, he hired Brian Harsin, I believe. Now, that is very universally looked at as a very bad hire. However, at the time, it made a lot of sense. He was killing it at Boise State. I think you're just dealing with a particularly toxic fan base in Auburn because the second Brian Harsin dipped below 500, the fan base made up rumors that he was having an affair with a cheerleader to try to get the school to fire him. So I'm going to flip this into a positive. The Brian Harsin hire did not work out. However, he has experience working with the Auburn fan base, and that's kind of like walking through hell backwards. So the guy's ready for our bullshit. I have to imagine.
Battle tested.
Absolutely. And then the other thing is, as we pointed out on Twitter, Tennessee has gotten creative with raising NIL, including a talent fee on tickets. Dylan, you were the one who kind of brought that to everybody's attention. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Tennessee announced earlier that next year's season ticket packages would include a 10% talent fee included in the ticket price, basically a 10% markup, and that 10% goes towards their NIL fund. And posed the question on Twitter, put a poll out there and just ask Pitt fans, would you be open to a 10% talent fee on your season tickets? And results in that poll, about 80% last time I checked, people said yes, they'd be open to it. I think a lot of Pitt fans are open to things like that. It's obviously Alliance 412. We want to get people signing up for memberships, donating money, finding big boosters. But I think at the end of the day, like, Pitt sells, thousands of season tickets every single year. We already have a Panther Club donation on there that's required. What's another $30, $40, $50, depending on what tickets you get, to go towards an NIL fund. And that could be a nice little chunk of change that goes towards the football team. So I think maybe it's not exactly a 10% talent fee, but clearly he has experience trying to get creative, trying to be ultra competitive in this NIL era. So yeah, I'll be interested to see. It seems like Pitt's already moving towards some things since Heather Lyke has left. There's now, if you're an Alliance 412 member, your donations to Alliance 412 count towards Panther Club loyalty points, which can help with securing tickets, yada yada, parking passes, things of that nature. So it seems like there's finally becoming more and more cooperation between the collective and the athletic department, and I'm hoping this hire will only strengthen that. Also, Narduzzi endorsed him in his press conference, said he thought it was a home run hire. I don't think you can say many other things. Like, I don't think he's going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, my new boss. I don't like him already." But Narduzzi golfed with him before. Jeff Capel was on the hiring committee. If the men's basketball and head football coach are on board with the hire, that's really who we need to keep happy and have a working relationship with.
Yeah, just keep the ball rolling. Things are quite good right now in the Pitt Athletics world. Just give us more money to keep doing good things, and yeah, maybe pay for all the new stadiums and stuff. But yeah, mostly just keep winning.
I think it's interesting, Dylan, that you would insinuate that Pat Narduzzi wouldn't earn a bridge at the first opportunity. So take that as an even better thing that Coach Narduzzi endorsed him.
Yeah, like Narduzzi didn't throw out a comment like, "Yeah, I think he was cheating when we played golf with him. I don't know. He shaved a couple strokes off."
Exactly. No such bad things to say. So that means that there can only be good things. So that was really the only big piece of Pitt-related news that came out over the last week. How did you guys enjoy your bye weekends? Your second bye weekends?
Watched a lot of football.
Yeah.
We all got together.
Dylan and I went to a high school football game Friday. Saw some pretty poor displays of offense. It happens. Not everyone can be the Pitt Panthers.
So you went to see our alma mater.
Correct.
Okay.
And then Saturday, watched 12 hours of football and did a little bit more of that yesterday. So, yeah, good bye week.
Did we learn anything new about any teams that we haven't had the opportunity to watch because of Pitt while we had a Pittless weekend?
Ooh, where to start?
Cam Ward just keeps finding ways to win Miami games.
Especially
Lincoln
games they
Riley
might not
keeps-
deserve to.
I say Lincoln Riley keeps finding ways to lose USC football games.
Yes.
Yeah, USC is terrible. Well, let me take that back. FPI still thinks that USC is very good, a top 15 team, actually. So I will reserve my judgment because, data and analytics is most important. But, 3 and 4 isn't a great indication in my mind. But again, I am not a computer or a mathematician.
Where else across the land? SMU won again. Somehow got dropped in the poll despite a 30-point road win.
FSU lost again.
They are
Virginia Tech. FSU. It was really funny at first, and now it's like, okay, you're starting to make us all look bad. It's still pretty funny. It's still pretty funny.
Enjoying it.
Yeah.
Georgia just absolutely dismantled Texas. I mean, the final score was 30-15, but it wasn't even all that close, I didn't think. But the precedent sent by reversing a call after the student section throws 1,000 beers on the field could be very funny in the near future. We'll have to monitor that, see how that works.
I saw that, I think it was the SEC told Texas that they need to go find, like, to the best of their ability, who is throwing beers and suspend them or revoke their season tickets. Like, do whatever you have to find out, or else they will consider banning alcohol sales. That is about the worst punishment you can hand a Southern college football program. Like, death penalty is one. Number two is banning alcohol sales.
Yeah, that has to bite into the bottom line.
And there was this viral screenshot of a text message that was going around on Twitter today of kids getting automated texts from the Texas Athletic Department saying, like, hey, you were identified as someone throwing trash. You are banned from games the rest of the year, or something to that effect. Some consternation whether or not it was a scam, but still very funny because it happened to them and not us.
Look, I've been mad about a lot of calls that went against Pitt back in the day, but I don't think I would consider throwing a $16 beer onto the field. That just seems economically irresponsible.
I've definitely thought about it. I'd have to have like a good amount of beer in there though to make it from where we're at. You need to have a certain amount of weight.
Need a little weight, yeah.
We also have to be a pretty good thrower. We're also behind the Pitt bench, so I wouldn't want to accidentally hit Narduzzi because he might come up and like run or test me in the stands. But
yeah, from our seats, I don't think we could make it. We'd probably just like hit a cheerleader in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Our point would be received.
Yeah. Point is, it's definitely gone through my head on a bad call here or there. But either way, we keep the beers in our hands up in 138.
That we do. So that's enough about teams that aren't Pitt. Nobody listens to us for our opinions on the Texas Longhorns. So we have a game on Thursday, a Thursday nighter on ESPN 7:30, the 5-1 Syracuse Orange.
And the Pitt Panthers are ranked number 19. Nationally televised game with a little number next to our name.
And we're 6-0. We haven't mentioned that we're 6-0 this whole show. It's been 15 minutes. We haven't mentioned that we're undefeated.
Yep, we continued our undefeated streak through the bye week, and it was nice. But today we're back on the grind. Thursday's going to come quick, boys. I was doing my scouting on Syracuse, aka watching the condensed games of them on double speed, and I'm a little scared.
Yeah, you are?
A little bit.
I'm scared of just about every game at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it isn't saying much.
When you get to this point in the season, I'm scared. But I'll be honest, I'm scared of Kyle McCord. I think he, despite Ohio State running him out of town, he showed that he's a more than capable quarterback at Syracuse this year. Obviously, they lost the one game to Stanford earlier in the season, but he's putting up some gaudy numbers. Like, I mean, he's already at 2160 for yards passing this year, averaging 47 pass attempts per game. He's had 300. Though his lowest passing yardage total in a game this year was 339 yards. He's had over that in every other game. So Narduzzi mentioned it, called him probably the best QB we've played and prepared for in some time. And the defense, super solid in the Cal game. I think they've been pretty solid for a few weeks now. But with that being said, they just simply have not played a quarterback like Kyle McCord yet. So it's going to be a really big test for them on Thursday night.
The yards are one thing. When you look at that, it jumps off the page. They all start with the number 3. He also throws so much. Like, just read out some of the totals: 39, 46, 42, 50, 63, 42. Those are all pass attempts. His completion percentages in the 60s or 70s every game but one, which was Holy Cross, which is kind of weird. He had a weird game against Holy Cross. So the passing attack, that just jumps off the page of something that we're going to worry about, even though coming into the season, the secondary was a big worry of ours. I know probably mine most vocally. I was not too confident in our corners, but since the first half of Cincinnati, they looked pretty good, but it's time for a huge test to find out how good they are.
It's kind of funny that Kyle McCord is just like clearly a pretty good quarterback, but got chased out of town in Columbus because Ryan Day cannot manage a football game.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if he's worse than Will Howard.
He's probably not worse than Will Howard. He looked better last year than Will Howard. He looks better this year than Will Howard. That feels like enough evidence to say it may not have been a massive upgrade, although there are a lot of Ohio Staters I know that will fight me to the death, the literal death, with like a shank for saying that.
Well, now he's in the ACC, where the real quarterbacks come to play.
Mm-hmm.
True.
I heard that. Wish I didn't hear that.
I mean, like last week, they go out and they beat NC State before their bye week. Only put up 24 points. Like, that's the thing. Some of these games, he's throwing for almost 350 yards, but puts up 24 points against NC State. They put up 24 points in the loss to Stanford. 31 against Georgia Tech, 38 against OU. So offense has been effective. I think that there's a real chance that this game becomes a shootout and we have another, Thursday night ACC quarterback battle, similar to the Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell battles at Heinz Field we saw 2 years in a row. But it'll be. I will say I think Syracuse. Well, I think since since he's got it rolling a little bit now too. But I don't know. Is Cincy the best, or is Syracuse the best team we've played thus far?
I'd say probably.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel that way yet. They definitely present the most unique challenge. Yeah. Because they're throwing the ball like crazy this year. They don't have a running back with over 100 carries yet. They do not at all prioritize running the football, and Pitt's defense is predicated on stopping the run and making you drop back and sending pressure at you. So what do you do when the team doesn't even present, your opponent doesn't even present the possibility that they might run the football? What do you do then?
Yeah, it'll
just
be interesting.
Send 4 or 5 and pin your ears back?
It might end up being that, because Pat Narduzzi, the first thing he mentioned when he was talking about Kyle McCord in his press conference was how good he was on third down. And that's when Pitt likes to blitz a lot. So if he's getting the ball out quick, getting his reads quick, might neutralize the blitz a little bit. So I don't know if there's a chess match there to where Dews might play a little bit more conservative and just continue doing the bend but don't break and hope our 4-man rush is good enough, sort of like what happened in UNC. But I will be upset if that happens. We've got a great track record of punishing Syracuse quarterbacks, and getting Kyle McCord dirty might be our best bet of winning this game.
I'm sure there's no statistics on it, but it feels like if you look at like the last 15 years of playing each other, no rivalry, and we'll call it a rivalry for all intents and purposes, no rivalry in that span has resulted in one team injuring the other's quarterback as much as Pitt has done so to Syracuse. I'm sure you could find statistics that say no one team has sacked another team's quarterback more in the last 15 meetings than Pitt has sacked. And that's even going to be weighted down by last year, which let that be the last mention of last year's game. We've been getting that Orangeman quarterback on the ground since pre-ACC days.
Can I make one more mention of last year's game?
No, we just said
just to make
you
a
can't.
Point.
Fine.
Dan Valeri, the tight end from last year. Yes, the tight end that they were snapping the ball to and having.
We knew which one you were talking about. Yeah.
His stats for the year: 4 carries for 11 yards and 2 catches for 13 yards.
Okay.
So we can move on now. I just wanted to mention.
It would be okay. One more mention. I would have to hand it to Fran Brown if just first play or at any point he trotted that dude out behind center, just as like even if he motioned him out, just as like a little remember, that'd be objectively funny. I couldn't even be mad about it.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious, and I'm having like a manic breakdown in the stands with flashbacks of Yankee Stadium last year, but yeah, hilarious.
Well, that's the last mention of that.
Yeah, so Pitt had a bye week, and coming into the year, it seemed kind of weird to have a bye week, 2 games, then another bye week in the middle of the season. But after the way we played against Cal, maybe after the way we got banged up against Cal, kind of a good thing, good timing.
Yeah, maybe. No one's really. I don't think anyone's worried that the Eli Holstein that we saw is just Eli Holstein now. That was the clear aberration. So I'm happy that he gets a week for Cade Bell to sit him down and just be like, buddy, you forget everything that happened Saturday night against Cal. We're going to watch some tape. We're going to talk some things through. It's all going to be okay. And this is a defense you can get right against. And I don't think you need a get right game after one bad performance. But if you ever did, this is not a bad defense to do so against. Dylan, you were nice enough to prep a couple statistics on this Syracuse defense, and I'm sure they're giving Syracuse fans gray hair. They are 108th in opponent yards per play, 116th in opponent yards per rush, and 127th, and there are 133 Division I programs in opponent completion percentage. So there are going to be running lanes. There are going to be open receivers, and there are going to be big plays to be had against this defense.
That just tells me that there's a whole lot of film that Cade Bell has watched, that he sees things that can be exploited. So I'm expecting a ton of big plays from the Pitt offense, explosive as usual. I do think it will be a get-right game, even though, just one bad performance against Cal. But I think with the extra few days of prep, I really am ready for Cade Bell to, just light it up early and often. So with that being said, do we want to move forward with the sportsbook?
Transition into some picks? Yeah, I'd say it's time.
All right, let's do it. Well, welcome to the Loyal Sun Sportsbook. We are going to give you a few props that you can only get here at the Loyal Sun Sportsbook. Won't find these anywhere else. Just a reminder, student athletes, this is not for you. Please do not participate in the sportsbook. If you get caught, I don't know, you might still even be fine. With that being said, the first prop we're going to look at today refers to a guy we've already talked a good bit about on this episode. One Kyle McCord, the quarterback for the Syracuse Orange. Over under 325.5 passing yards for Kyle McCord. I mentioned earlier that he has not thrown for less than 339 yards in a game this season. So line's a little bit below that, but does that Pitt defense hold him under his season average? Do they hold him under 325.5? Squid?
So I do think that Pitt has the best defense that they've played so far. NC State, people are high on them coming into the year. I don't think they're all that good. They're underachieving. UNLV, Holy Cross, Stanford, Georgia Tech, and Ohio. So I do think we're the best challenge that they've had so far as well. But they throw so much. There'd be so many possessions between our offense and their offense, just firing at will, that I think this has to be an over. Even if this was at his actual average of, what do you say, 339, I'd probably still take the over.
Actually, 339 was his lowest. Not his
it's low.
average.
Lovely.
Oh. Jesus Christ. I concur with Squid. I'm going to go over here. It's what they do. They throw the ball. We are certainly the best defense they played. That UNLV team that they beat is quite good, and that is an impressive win. But they are not known for keeping their opponents from scoring points. They are known for scoring points themselves. So while I think that the Panther defense will acquit itself well in a lot of regards on Thursday night, well enough to win, so that if I might tip my hand a little bit, they're going to come out slinging, and they have something that Pitt typically struggles against, and that is a very talented pass-catching receiver. Arond Gadsden II. I know we've heard that name before. That is a guy that is a very serious contender to be playing on Sundays next year. He has 32 catches for 433 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, we all know the Panthers struggle against good pass catching tight ends. I'm certain he will make us look foolish a few times. Maybe not enough to beat us, but enough to get Kyle McCord over that passing total.
I'm going to go under. think the pass rush is going to get after him a little bit. I think if we can hold him under this number, Pitt's going to have a good chance to win. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get to Kyle McCord enough, maybe get him seeing ghosts early. And I think they hold him to a season low on passing yards. He probably still goes over 300, but I think we can keep him under this 325 number. Okay. Next prop we have here. Who has more total touchdowns on Thursday night? Kyle McCord or Eli Holstein? The battle between two of the ACC's elite quarterbacks. McCord, the senior, Holstein, the freshman. Who gets the better of this matchup? David?
Don't crucify me for this one, because I have, I think, very reasonable rationale. I think McCord scores more touchdowns, but only by virtue of the fact that there are no running backs that I fear will eat into his total. They will have to do it through the air, and Eli Holstein's got a couple guys in the run game he can rely on, especially one Desmond Reed. Don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's quite good, who can do it on the ground. Dan Carter can do it on the ground, and I'm certain at some point Rodney Hammond will be back up to speed and able to impact the game on the ground. But as I look at, just really quickly, looking at Syracuse leading rusher, do you guys see who their second leading rusher is?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yassine Willis, that 4-star running back that committed to Pitt a year or two ago. He's a true freshman, and the rumor was Pitt let him go because they liked Juelz Goff more, and that despite having offers from like Michigan and Georgia, Willis was not to be taken too seriously. But he was the highest rated recruit in Pitt's recruiting class for a couple months before flipping to Syracuse. So has 25 carries for about 100 yards. So again,
was he let go, or did he go to Syracuse when Fran Brown came through and started sending the house at him?
He was certainly not let go, but my understanding was that it was happy to get a high 4-star, but did not feel that he was actually a high 4-star, and we're much higher on Juelz Goff. Kind of a no blood, no foul type situation when he flipped.
Yeah, he's not exactly lightened up this year. I mean, true freshman, getting PT on a 5-1 team, but like you said, 25 carries, 104 yards. I won't be losing any sleep this week over Yassine Willis.
Please.
Yeah.
Please suck.
I can go next year, Squid. I'm gonna go with Holstein, and it might just be a homer pick for me, but Eli Holstein, I think he needs some easy ones. I think Cade Bell's gonna, even if they're down by the goal line, give him a good look at getting his, whether it's a quick easy pass to Poppy Williams or a quarterback design run. If you look at the two guys we're comparing right now, I mean, Kyle McCord, he's thrown for 19 this year, ran for 1. Holstein's thrown for 15, ran for 3. So McCord does have 2 more touchdowns on the season, total touchdowns. But I think Holstein gets the better of him for Thursday night.
I'm also going with Eli Holstein. One, because I think Pitt's going to need him to have a big game to put up a lot of points. I don't know if this is going to be a game similar to the Cal game where we can gut it out and win by defense. Like, it might come down to a couple drives here and there, but I don't think that's going to be an overarching theme of the game. So we're going to need Holstein to make plays, and I hope he gets back to scrambling a little bit more. Against Cal, I don't know if they took it away or if he was a little hesitant to tuck it and run for whatever reason, but when we get down to the red zone, I want to see Eli just take control and do whatever it takes.
Going over to the other side of the ball for the Pitt Panthers. Last week, they had a huge week for the defensive line and pass rush linebackers. A huge game against the Cal Bears. Held them to 15 points and had 6 sacks on the game. So for this week, over under 3.5 sacks for that Pitt Panthers defense. And I can start us off here. I'll go first. It's only fair. So the way I was looking at this one, I looked, and Kyle McCord's been sacked 4 times once this year. Other than that, every other game he would have been under the 3.5 here. With that being said, this has been a theme, but I don't think they've played a team or a defense like Pitt yet. And I think we said it earlier, Pitt's probably going to have to get after Kyle McCord in this game. I think that might be, we may be willing to give up some deep shots, some big plays in exchange for hoping to cause havoc by getting after McCord early and often. I think Randy Bates and Ryan Manilak are going to dial up some of those exotic blitzes we've seen. And I think they're going to get after McCord a good bit. I'm going to go over here. I think they can get to him at least 4 times. And I think if they get over on this number and can hit McCord and rattle him a bit, I think that's going to be a key to the game, because you can't just let him sit back there and sling it all day. They got to hit him, make him uncomfortable, and maybe force some turnovers from him wanting to get the ball out a little earlier than he should.
Yeah, you stole my stat, Dylan. Uncoincidentally, the one time he's been sacked over 3.5 times was the game that they lost. So I think Pitt's going to have to get after him and make some plays, because I don't think sitting back and playing conservatively is a good approach against a team that's this good through the air. So one way or another, they'll have to use the quarterback. And they're playing really good. They're coming off of their best game, so hopefully that trend continues. And not only Kyle Lewis and Rasheem Biles will be back, blitzing left and right, the D-line is hopefully only going to get better from here on out.
Again, please don't get mad at me, but I think we go under here, but I don't think it matters. So obviously the defense looked better than it has all season by miles against Cal. And if that's the defensive unit we get going forward, we're going to start thinking some things about this team. If we see like the offense we saw the first 5 games and the defense we saw in game 6, I'm going to stop myself there and just drop a please win, or else we might get carried away. No, obviously love to see Jimmy Scott emerge as a guy. Love to see them cooking up Mendoza a week and a half ago. Do I necessarily think that that's just what they're going to do every game now? No. Do I think that we need to put pressure on McCord? Yes. Do I think we need to get him on the ground 4 times to win? No. There are a lot of ways to skin a cat, and I think that we can shake up McCord without, getting to that number. I think we win this one with turnovers. We got some ball hawks on defense. We haven't forced too many teams to put the ball on the turf. We have a couple picks, not a ton of fumble recoveries. So I think that changes. That's my very specific prediction is Pitt forces Syracuse to put the ball on the ground 1 or 2 times, and we end up on top of it.
I like it. The Sharks got to be circling, smell some blood in the water, get that ball on the ground. Okay, last prop before our first touchdown score. A very standard. I know at the beginning of this we say props you can't get anywhere else, but this one you quite literally can get anywhere else. Over under 61.5 points is what I'm seeing it at right now. A lot of things we've said on this episode, I think, suggests that this game could be a track meet, a shootout. 61.5, not exactly a shootout by college football standards. So I don't know. What do you think, fellas? Do we go over under? Is this going to be? We're hearing the PA announcer yell touchdown all night long. How do we think this one shakes out?
I'm going to go over. I'm horrible at judging these things, so my first instinct is to do the opposite of what I think is going to happen when it comes to an over-under. But I'm going with the over. We're not getting up to the, 76-61 shootout from
76-61. Yeah.
we're not getting up there, but I think it's way more likely we see someone get up into the 40s than like a 28-24 game. I think there's going to be a lot of yards and a lot of points.
I concur with my co-host Squid. I see points. I think our defense is going to continue to show flashes, but Syracuse is an offense designed to score points. It's a team designed to score points. The Pitt Panthers, as weird as it feels to say, is now a team designed to score points. I think they're going to score points. It gets wacky on Thursday nights, man.
What teams are not designed to score points aside from Pitt last year and Iowa every year for the last 20 years?
There's an entire conference. Do I need to go on? There's an entire conference dedicated to playing stout defense, possessing the football, and running effectively.
You're not talking about Army and Navy.
Are you insulting the two offensive juggernauts of the NCAA world right now? No, I'm talking about the collective American Midwest. Dylan.
I'm going to go over as well. So anyone listening to this, feel free to fade the three of us and go bet the under. Usually probably a safe bet if we're all on the same side of things. But yeah, I picture this game being a shootout. Vegas obviously knows better than us, but I'm not going to give away my score prediction, but I very well could see this one getting very fun I'll say very fun for the casual viewer, very stressful and at times unfun for us. But, Thursday night, ESPN, I think people are going to get their money's worth. Get your popcorn ready. Okay. And give us a first touchdown score. Quick reminder, Desmond Reed is worth 1 point. All other players are worth 2. And if you want to go defense, special teams, that'll get you a $5. Does anyone want to start?
I heard you're up first.
Okay, I'll do it. And I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to take Desmond Reed. He's the only player to score for us last game. Despite being only worth 1 point, I think he's the safest bet on the Panthers right now. I think you mentioned some of those stats earlier. They're 116th in the country. Syracuse defense is in opponent yards per rush. Desmond Reed is going to get loose on Thursday night, and it might be an early one that he breaks for a long score. So give me Desmond Reed.
Please stay healthy. Let me get Poppy Williams. Poppy Williams is our fourth leading receiver, but nobody has more of a nose for the end zone relative to touches than Poppy. 18 catches, 4 touchdowns. So pretty impressive. He is scoring a touchdown almost every 4.5 times he touches a football. So give me Poppy there. Love me some Poppy.
It seems like they like to... Poppy always going to be open. Yeah, it seems
Poppy
like they like to scheme him up a little bit in the red zone. Like his route running ability, he's able to create a lot of separation. So it seems like wouldn't call him your prototypical red zone target at all.
No.
But it does seem like they like to go to him when they get closer to the goal line. So I don't mind that pick at all. Squid?
Yeah, it's a good pick. My first instinct is with Montfield. He's come through for me once or twice before, but I'm going back to the well. It's been a few weeks. Give me Bart. The main reason I think is just this might be a game of tight end revenge. Last year they killed us with the tight end. This year we're getting back with a heavy dosage of Bart finally. We had an extra week to workshop some things with the bye week, so I think now's the time to pull out our secret weapon that the ACC might have started to forget about.
It'd be very funny, if we got Bart a couple carries like that end around we opened up against Cincinnati with. Again, a little nod to the disgusting foul mess that was last year's game.
Bart will score a touchdown at some point. I promise. I promise, Bart. We're going to get you one.
Please. Please.
Also, Bart mentioned today in his media availability that the special teams tight ends coach, Bronowski, just gave all the tight ends crowbars for this week. And they're gonna...
I love that. I love football, guys.
Yeah, that's just like I'm just imagining Bart like walking around with a crowbar in his backpack. So that's good juju right there. We're going to get him one. All right. We are going to make our picks, score predictions. The line on this one, we're at Pitt -6. This one opened at -2, and the line has shifted quite a bit, about 4 points, and since that line opened up about a week and a half ago. Very interesting. I think this might mean the public is all over Pitt, which is something I hate to say out loud. But 6 points, almost a full touchdown without the extra point. Favorites in this game. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's a secret injury out there that we haven't heard of, or the public's just piling on Pitt. So we'll start with David. Give me a score prediction. Does Pitt cover? How do you see this one playing out Thursday?
There are two scores stuck in my brain. One that's high scoring and one that's really high scoring. I was going to go with the more high scoring one because it had Pitt winning by 2 scores, which would be sick, would be awesome, please. But knowing that the betting public is so heavily on the Panthers certainly makes me think that Syracuse is going to cover, but they are not going to come close enough to give the Pitt Panthers their first loss. 41-38, Panthers roll. Holstein looks like Holstein of the first 5 games. The defense forces enough turnovers to win us this one. And we keep the train rolling.
I think I know why the line is what it is. I think we would all guess Pitt -1, -2-ish. Sounds about right, wouldn't you say, if we had to make the line ourselves? Any disagreements there?
I'd set it at like 3, but I get your point.
Sure. Usually you get a point or two for home field advantage.
Yeah.
We're talking about Thursday night at Acrisure Stadium. That's worth like 4 points. Place can be rocking. Name a better atmosphere.
70,000 strong.
Mm-hmm. No, night games are always weird, especially those Thursday night ones at Acrisure. So I'm close to you, David. I think Pitt wins by 3 and does not cover, but I'm going 38-35.
All right, a couple 3-point wins predicted by the boys. I think 6 points is more than I'm willing to give up for Pitt right now. I think McCord can really give them some problems. I think they're going to be able to score. I think we're going to be able to score. I do think Pitt ultimately comes out victorious. I think they keep this train rolling and get to 7-0, please. Give me a final score of 34-30. They hit the over. It's nothing crazy, but they do hit that over, win by 4 points. They don't cover, but we're not worried about the cover on Thursday night. We're worried about just getting another win, surviving another week, and keeping that 0 in the loss column and shrinking that tiny little number next to our game name.
Speaking of numbers, I forgot to mention we're in quite the dogfight ourselves here. for the season standings in our picks, David, first place with 19. I had myself a nice week against Cal. I have 18, and Dylan is coming in third with 17, but all within
Water's
striking
wet.
distance here.
The sky is blue. I'm in first, Dylan's in last.
Spare me.
So this is a nervy one, certainly. Do we need to take a moment to plead for victory? Because I think we've forgotten to do so since it's been so long since our last football game. But please win. We play 3 teams better than this team down the stretch. And if we want to do all the things that we're secretly praying this team is, well, not secretly, but praying this team is capable of, we need to clean these dweebs.
Hey, pressure is privilege. I'm glad that we have to sweat a Thursday night game against Syracuse in late October because it has very serious implications for how this season plays out. It's going to be a fun one. Obviously, Saturdays are king, but the Thursday night game is always fun. It always seems to bring a different type of atmosphere. Maybe some different people come out to the game that you don't normally see. It's a night game. The lights are on. We're on ESPN, nationally televised game. So it's going to be chilly. Bundle up. About 50 degrees at kickoff. Imagine that's only going to go down as the game progresses. And yeah, see you all down on the North Shore. We got to bring it. Let's show up and show out for Pat's Panthers and bring home another W, please.
Please just win this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one game. Just win it. That's all you got to do.
Oh, and please commit to donating based on the final score. I can't believe we almost signed out before mentioning that, but late last week we challenged Pitt fans to pledge a certain number of dollars based on the final score of Thursday night's game. We will collectively be doing $5 a point the Panthers score. There were a lot of people doing $1.39. I think one guy pledged $100 a point, which
Chris Velasquez, big baller.
Our dude. Shout out to Chris. So go ahead. Back to our Twitter page. We bumped it today. If you want to keep this program competitive for years to come, it's time to start ponying up. We got a new AD, a new outlook on fundraising, and a new lease on life with Eli Holstein and Cade Bell. So let's keep the party going.
Yeah. Hey, look, I know not everyone can donate, but every little bit helps to put towards Alliance 412. I did some math based on the pledges we've got already. Based on what we have already, if the Panthers just score 30 points, which is well below their season total, there'll be about $4,000 heading over to Alliance 412. So let's get some more people on the train. Hey, fingers crossed the Panthers and Cade Bell put up a 50 burger, and our bank accounts look a little lighter Friday morning. But that's I would do it I'd write the check with a smile on my face if they can put up a 50 burger. So yeah, go to our page, pledge something, whatever you got. We'll help Alliance 412. We'll keep this train rolling. So yeah, and we'll see you all on Thursday night. We'll have some Archie's wings in the parking lot, some spicy ranch. Oh, I can't wait. There's just something about eating wings in a parking lot, drinking a beer in a parking lot. Nothing like it. Shout out to our guy Archie for that. See you all on Thursday night. Come ready to go. And as always, hail, loyal sons of Pittsburgh.
Please beat Syracuse.
Please win.
Please win.